always used to be over the Ellsberg.
Oh, that's right, where it was so hot. Boy, Ellsberg must have been nothing back then.
Ellsberg?
Yeah. Was there anything there?
In Ellsberg?
Yeah.
Not too large. Fogarty store. My mother dressed me all up and take me down and set me on the counter. I can remember that.
Because Ellsberg even now isn't all that big.
We lived across from the creamery. And you know, well, it was many years. We were going to see Bob at Washington State. And I said, now let's go down this street here, and I'll show you where I used to live. And my mother would fix me all up. And put a sunlight on me, all starched up. And the walk was kind of funny. It went around, and there was the walk was, and the grass was up. And the rest, well, anyhow, you'd walk, there'd be a corner, and she'd set me up, and he'd set me in this little corner, you know, where the walk would make it. And there I would sit, just sit until she took me in. Gosh.
There wasn't much to do. But
Well,
you moved away from there. How old were you?
We moved to Tacoma then, and I lived with my grandparents. We lived in my grandparents' house. Oh, I must have been 3 and a half.
So, yeah. How Justin.
Oh, but I wasn't like Justin. I was just like I am now, just being pampered like I am now.
You weren't the only child, were you? No.
For quite a long time. I'm 7 years older than Buck.
Mama, who came over in the covered wagon? Was it your dad's father?
It was my dad's father and my mother, and my mother's. And it was my dad's father and mother.
So, you grandma
So that would be Buchanan's.
And then there was my grandmother's father and mother. That was the cases.
But how'd that House of the Seven Sarahs get going?
Then where they went up on Grand Mound. You know, that's out by Centralia. And they were the only white people. My dad was a great big boy. And he always just played with Indians. And there was Indians there too, and they'd have uprisings, you know, and come. And so they brought this blockhouse, and and one time the Indians...
They built it?
They built it. And one time there was an uprising, and so they put all the women and children in this blockhouse. And there was 7 little girls named Sarah, and my grandmother was one of the Sarahs. So it was called the Blockhouse of the 7 Sarahs.
How come
With-
there are so many Sarahs?
Well, just,
Popular name then,
I guess so.
like Michelle. But Sarah was your dad's mom.
Yeah.
See, Sarah Case would she have been? And she married your
Yeah.
dad's father and became Sarah Buchanan.
And when they crossed the plains, my grandfather was 9 years old, and my grandmother was 4.
But they weren't married. They crossed with two
Well, they're
different.
only
No,
9
but I
years
mean,
old.
were they in the same wagon train? That.
No, different wagon trains.
But they.
Mr. Case led one wagon train, and Mr. Buchanan led the other. And Mr. Buchanan was real. When the Indians would, you know how they, in the movies how they do. Well, anyhow, one place they went, they had to cross this little bridge that the Indians had made. And so the Indians didn't want to come see it. And so they went with the blankets all over the bridge so that they thought they would cross the bridge. And so my grandfather Buchanan, second thing, he got up and threw all the blankets in the water. And they thought, oh, sure they'd be upright. But they didn't. But then the other one, Case, he dealt with the Indians different. He would always doctor all of them. And so they called him the medicine man. And that little rocker that your mother has in her bedroom, I think it's in your bedroom? No, not that one. That came around the horn for Aunt Kate.
The one that I've got?
No, that's out of the beach house. What rocker is it? Where is that? Oh, the swing rocker that you have in your living room?
No, I don't have. Oh, yeah. That come across the plains. And it's the same. It's never been refinished. The wood
Oh, I
hasn't.
remember that one.
The one
Johnny-
Nisi wants.
You were showing it to Johnny that time.
And there was another one just like it, and the arm was off of it. And the lattice brackets sent it to the dump. Is that awful? You know, when I was a little girl, I'd say my grandfather Buchanan, oh, he was so good to me. He would just tell me stories like that. And I'd say, tell me about the early times. And he'd tell me all this stuff. And then he'd get down on his hands and knees and play horsey with me. And once, when we lived up on 49th Street, I think it was, in Tacoma, why, you know, we used to have the lights that went down from the ceiling. And anyhow, the kitchen stove, wood stove, you could let down the oven door. And if I let down the oven door, then I could stand on the oven door and reach up and turn on the light. And something I wanted out there. Well, I was even 4 years old yet, which seems awfully young to me now, but I look at Justin and I said, well, anyhow, I wanted something. And I went out in the kitchen, and I couldn't reach the light, of course. So I took down the oven door, and I stepped on the oven door and reached up there to turn the light on. And somehow that made a
Connection.
current go through me. And I just lit up, you know, and I couldn't let go. And all you can imagine, all that, how they come clucking out and getting me, you know.
I didn't know they had electricity in
Well,
1904.
they didn't have it very much, but they had that drop from the ceiling.
Huh.
And then another time we moved to Acosta, and Aunt Amy, that was Sarah's sister. She was real religious, real religious. So we went out to pick blackberries. And so my mother went with us, and we went out on these trails, because it was just all woods there. And so my mother always knew how long it took the train to get in after they heard the whistle, you know. So she heard the whistle of the train. And so she said, well, I've got to go home and get dinner for Will, see. Well, we just found a good patch. And so Aunt Annie didn't want to go because she wanted to pick more blackberries there. And she says, well, you go on, and Bernice and I will stay here and pick these berries. And so Dash, that was our dog that we had before I was born. Well, anyhow, Dash wouldn't stay with us. He wanted to go with my mother, see. So he just kept whining and whining when she got through, just a little ways. And you just brush up against her. And anyhow, then she heard the scooters leave them along. So then, no way was she going to go and leave me, you know, out there in that cougar. So she came back to get me and get both of us. And Aunt Amy, no, Aunt Amy wouldn't come. You go ahead. God will take care of us. God will take care. I should tell her. And my mother's so mad. She said, well, God takes care of those that take care of themselves. And if you want to stay here, you can stay, but I'm taking her along with me. So then that Amy came. She was big and fat, and she kind of smelled bad.
They didn't have deodorant back then, did they?
You know,
Did they have deodorant? They didn't,
I
did
don't.
they?
Well, you know what, they used to put sachet under their arms.
Sachet? What kind
You-
of sachet?
Oh, I don't know what it had, I suppose.
You know what they do in Africa? They take eucalyptus leaves and they put them under their arms, the savages.
I bet you that smells good.
And they do this when they're dancing, and then that makes the eucalyptus,
Yeah, that smells good.
and they dance with that under their arms. It's
Well, I
so
bet that
hot,
was
so hot out there, but it makes a real fragrance.
Huh. I wonder
You know,
what
that
it
lady
is.
planted 2 eucalyptus trees alongside of our house, our apartment.
Huh.
I said, why don't you plant them up here by mine? Because our side is just a steps tile. We just get all that's left over. You know, I want to take John and, well, you too, because, oh, I wish you could get those pinks at my house. Wish you could get them.
Those carnations, huh?
Well, maybe you and Johnny could.
We can probably do that.
Just a pot of, be a nice start for them.
What
What do you guys used to do in that period?
What do you mean?
Tampons.
What did we do, what?
and had to.
They had rags and washed them up.
And had
Just
to
like
wash-
diapers. You think of diapers now, and it's all disposable. But it used to be you took knocked
You'd
it
have
off
to
and
wash
washed.
those out, and,
It's the same. No
and we
worse than
didn't, and we
big.
didn't have Purex to bleach them, and they'd have these awful stains in that you just couldn't get out, and that's one thing that nobody loved you enough to wash those for you. I can remember going out in the backyard and washing those out.
That's all you had to do. Can you imagine? But think of the people on the covered wagons didn't have time to wash them out. What did they do?
Well, they probably, yeah, they'd have to.
They weren't always by water. They'd go for days.
Well, they'd probably get the water and let them soak. I always let mine soak a little bit because
I know,
you
but
didn't
I
wash.
mean, it would be hard to wash them well
Oh, sure
when you're
it
on
would
the
be.
move.
But you know, you used to. I can remember, but I was too stupid to know what it was.